The National League is calling Boreham Wood's name once again.
Scunthorpe are on the rise again. The iron is gleaming once more.
The National League is calling Boreham Wood's name once again.
Scunthorpe are on the rise again. The iron is gleaming once more.
Hello and welcome.
You can shout me if it's not what you want.
No. This will be good. It's just this is for college. This is for college. So just as long as I'm pumping out an episode every couple of weeks, and it's like a fairly good standard, then that's what they're looking for. So
No, wicked. No, yeah, happy to do it, mate.
yeah, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Cool. All right, we're gonna jump right in. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine. Go for it.
Cool. Luke, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Pleasure to be on.
Firstly, I just want to ask all about you, yourself, your role at Aldershot, stuff like that. What's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so I'm currently on placement with Aldershot as their media assistant. I joined in February of this year, and to be honest, mate, they've Sam, my media manager, he chucked me in the deep end from the start, and I've not really looked back, to be honest. In terms of the day to day, at the start it was mainly just to ease some of the longer jobs for him, because he was running a professional team's media all on his own. So like the bits of program notes he had to do, the match previews, and some graphics here and there, and then sort of be by his side for home games and close away games and do the match report, so he could crack on with what he needed to do. But since then, and sort of since I've sort of showed my worth, so to speak, I've in essence done every part of the job now, sporadically. So yeah, it's been amazing, to be honest, in terms of experience, because I'm still fairly new to the station.
Yeah. And I just want to hear about your journey through sports media, how you ended up here, and why, of course.
Yeah, so I'm a bit different from maybe some of the people you get on here. I'm 29 and just sort of starting to get into it now properly. I worked at a music venue straight out of school, near your neck of the woods down in Somerset, and I worked there for 10 years, loved it, and then I don't know, they say your frontal lobe develops at sort of 25, 26, and you sort of realise what you want to do. And I remember it so vividly. I just woke up one day and I was like, what am I doing? I've always wanted to be a football writer, and I've not made any steps to doing that. So yeah, since about 26, 27, I've moved away, done an access course in which to join UCFB at Wembley, which has been great. And yeah, just doing what I believe are the right steps to get a career in football, which is not easy, but it's going really well so far. And yeah, I don't think that age has been an obstacle. There are some, instances in lectures where the lecturer will go, "Oh, and I suppose none of you are old enough to remember the 2012 Olympics." And I go, "I am," and it's it's a bit weird being the oldest person in the room, basically. But yeah, I've not found it a roadblock at all. It's people are pretty friendly.
What were you doing before, Luke?
Yeah, so before that, I was sort of co-running a bar at a music venue, and yeah, basically just watching live music 5 times a week. I really enjoyed it, but it was by no means a career. A bit, in a bit of a slump, I'd say. Just Taylor's old as time, really. Just living in a nice enough town to not want to move out and go and do things, but yeah, just I guess stagnating and letting it go on too long. Yeah, just had an epiphany, and here we are. Now I'm trying to get a career in football.
And as you sit here now, what would you say your sort of long-term goals and aspirations are?
it it changes a lot, to be honest, which can be concerning that it is changing. But I feel fairly driven now and focused in from what I have experienced. I've tried. I've done some writing sort of for an online magazine from the outside in, and obviously I've worked within a club now. And where I sit now, I there's no doubt in my mind that I would like a career working internally for a football club, because I think that is kind of as good as it gets. I mean, you, as you'll know yourself, working with Western, you are such a part of it. You are there. You're behind the scenes. You know the players. You know the managers. You just are, and the work you're putting out. You are a tangible part um, of the club's identity. You know, very much in the background, but you're a part of it. And you know, I realised at a young age, as I'm sure you did, I was never going to be a footballer. But I genuinely believe working in club media is the closest you can get to you know, stepping out onto a pitch and looking out at some fans and kind of experiencing it that way, which I don't think you get to do as a sort of typical journalist looking in. You can sit in a press box, but it's, you know, it's so immersive working for a club. And yeah, I've absolutely loved it, and I don't think there's any looking back, to be honest.
Great stuff. And for you, what is the best part of your job? And then maybe what is some of the challenges that come with the role that you do?
Yeah, well, I think I've touched upon that in the last question, actually. But the challenges, I'd say, is, and I'm learning this more and more, is when, you know, it's all good when times are great. I mean, my joining Aldershot coincided with their FA Trophy run. You know, I went to Sittingbourne, I did the Woking semi-final, and I even managed to get myself in the press box for Wembley, which was one of the greatest days of my life. But when times are good, obviously, it goes without saying, it's the best job in the world. Now that we're in a bit of a slump, it is harder, and you know, my responsibilities have grown. I went to Halifax on my own, which was, it was the second game I did on my own, but it was the first sort of National League game I did on my own, and the first away day I did on my own, and we lost 4-2. It wasn't a great performance. There were individual mistakes, and it was there was a feeling of toxicity amongst the fan base and frustration. And then I suppose in that moment it cannot be a fun job, because you know, I'm having to interview the manager, who was Tommy at the time, and you know, he doesn't want to talk to me. You know, if I'm honest, I don't particularly want to talk to him. I just want to go home because we've lost. And but so you know, it's not groundbreaking stuff, but yeah, just when the wins aren't coming, it can be such a difficult job you know, even in the captions you write, in the tweets, in the way you write copy, you need to be so careful when you know that the fans are looking for an excuse to jump on anything you say. You can write anything when you're on a five game winning streak. You can, you know, chuck some memes out there, and people love it. But yeah, essentially, when times are tough, yeah, it's not easy, and I'm sure you found that yourself in working with Western.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, there is a massive, massive difference, a noticeable difference of, not even just the feel around the club, but obviously the work that goes into it. There is a massive difference from when, things are going well. You've won a few games on the bounce, like you said, versus when, we haven't won in a month or something like that. So it is a massive difference. But it's just like you said, you just got to kind of find your way through it, isn't it? It's just sort of seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, making sure that you try and not upset anybody, obviously, because obviously, as media, a bit of PR comes into that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you're just second guessing every word you use and how it could be construed. But you know, it sounds cliche, but also in this is what I've found where I've actually learnt the most is the losses and the hard things to report. Yeah, if you're working for a team that doesn't stop winning, you might not encounter certain challenges, and then somewhere down the line when it's too late, you won't be ready for it. So, you need it at this stage, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag there. Yeah, no. So as you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you were a part of that day out at Wembley, weren't you, for the FA Vase Trophy win in May of this year? What was that experience like for you personally, and obviously everybody involved in the club and the wider community? What was that day like?
It was absolutely unbelievable, from start to finish. And when I say start, it really started in the semi-final against Woking. I mean, I was still sort of learning the lore and the history of the club, and I was quite frankly amazed that due to the law of averages, they hadn't visited Wembley ever before this. Um, and it was my first experience of sat by the radio listening to a cup draw that directly affected me, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
We will, yeah.
Is a new phenomenon that I'm actually loving quite a lot. But the it was a sellout crowd against their arch rivals, and it unfolded in the most dramatic of ways. We missed a penalty, then they had a sending off. It was controversial. They went 1-0 up against the run of play. Then it was 1-1, 2-1 in the 90th minute. Pitch invasion. Everyone. Oh, it was the the best get, and I'm reliably informed from people who are 70, 80 years old who have been going there for 60 years. That was the best day in the history of the football club, and it was about a month into my placement, and it was the most uncanny timing. But I was, that's a day that's going to live
Oh, I think I've lost you there.
for a long, long time for me, and I think it was. You got me?
Yeah, got you now. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And after that day, I was in. There was no going back from that. I was sort of fully into the Aldershot regime, and then the day out at Wembley was more surreal than anything, to be honest, because it I don't know, it all felt a bit too soon for me. Not in that I wasn't able to do the work, but it was like, oh God, I'm sat in the press box at Wembley already, and the day went brilliantly. The first half was a bit nervy, but then they ended up 3-0 winners. Josh Barrett scored a screamer. It was the stuff of dreams. And then again, like I was saying, with being a part of it, we all went to a pub down the road that was booked out in case of a win, and it was an absolute party. And unfortunately, I didn't make it down to the open top bus tour, but yeah, it was unbelievable timing for me to, in the first couple of months, sort of attach myself to this greatest moment in the club's history, or at least one of. But yeah, it still feels like a dream now, to be honest. It was really, really strange, and yeah, I I will be sticking around the club mainly because of that. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's difficult not to let yourself go from that. We all grew very close after that experience, to be honest.
yeah, sounded amazing. Now thinking about this season, could you sum up your thoughts on your start to the season so far from your perspective?
Yeah, again, from a performance point of view, they've been they've been like no other team I've ever seen. Just in that, I think for the first 8 or 9 games of the season, they had both scored two and conceded two in every single game. And I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think they remain the league's top scorers, but they sit towards the end of the table, which sort of is the best way of explaining how the season's gone. It's been exciting throughout, but the goals against category has really let us down, and it's you genuinely, I don't know what it's going to be like now that Tommy's gone, but you genuinely don't know with the attacking football. You don't know what the score's going to be on any given match day. It's been pretty crazy to report and pretty crazy to watch as a just watching in the stadium. To be honest, I've seen nothing like it. It's good attacking football, but when it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yeah, I hear you. What's been your moment of the season so far? I'm sure there's been lots of up and downs as you've been saying, but if you could pick one moment that stood out so far this season, what would you go for?
I honestly think it might have been Saturday. It might have been that 3-2 win against Dorking because morale was low, and I personally hold a lot of weight on the importance of the FA Cup, especially for like I was saying about Wembley and cup competitions. It's the possibilities that present themselves for me um, with an FA Cup run. Um, I I was so hoping that we were going to win that game, and I think a lot of the fan base weren't particularly hopeful. And don't get me wrong, it was a nervy occasion, but we went there and we put in such a good performance with 16 players on the injury table, um, and got over the line, and there were 850 travelling supporters, which I know it was only down the road at Dorking, but for me that was, obviously Wembley is the top tier, but for me that was sort of a real moment of God. This is a proper club, with a proper following, and these are sort of special days. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed Saturday and being able to report on it and talking to some of the players after the match. It was a good one. Obviously, a little bit bittersweet with everything that's gone on this week, which we honestly didn't know about at the time. But yeah, that day in isolation was awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, brilliant. Tell us about some of the new signings this year for Aldershot. Which ones have impressed you the most so far, and why? Is there any standout boys for you?
We've had a few great ones through the door, and well, the trouble is everyone's sort of getting intermittently injured, and everyone's been so horribly unlucky with injury records. But but one person I will who has luckily been sort of fit the whole time. One person I will champion is Ryan Hill, who's come in, and he mainly plays in the sort of fullback, wingback positions on either side, and he's just completely. We lost Tyler Frost to a quite lengthy injury at the start of the season, and alarm bells were ringing. Who was going to play down the flank in a very important and quite niche position. And yeah, Ryan Hill's just come in from Dagenham and completely taken it upon himself, and he's also smashed in a few penalties. I think he scored 4 goals in 2 games in August, and he was sitting among the top scorers now. I think he's sat down there a bit, but beyond his goal scoring, he is so passionate and so energetic. Yeah, he's a real asset to have in the club. To be
But
honest,
yeah. Oh, sorry, go on.
look, there's been some good defensive incomings, but yeah, again, nobody's been able to stay fit, and it's just been unfortunate. But we've got some really good recruitments in there.
Yeah. Now let's move on, obviously, to the magic of the FA Cup, shall we? Yeah, let's discuss the very interesting draw that took place on Monday night for a few different reasons. Of course, first and foremost, the big one, Aldershot will travel to Western-super-Mare to take on the Seagulls in the first round in just a couple of weeks' time. Luke, yourself and I had already actually planned to do this podcast, haven't we, before the draw had taken place? What are the chances of that? How are you and the rest of the club feeling after the draw?
Mate, it was absolutely uncanny. You you reached out to me on Sunday, and we agreed to do this. And then I sat down with my cup of tea to watch the cup draw at 6:30. And
First draw out.
before I'd even taken a sip, the first two balls, Western-super-Mare, Aldershot, and I was just laughing. It was really bizarre, but yeah, the overall reaction, if I'm going to be completely honest, what I've seen from the fans is not my words. A lot of people have said boring, but I think what they really mean by that is absolute banana skin. Because you've got a team in Western that are absolutely flying in the National League South. And if I'm right in saying you haven't conceded a goal at home all
No,
season,
we haven't. Do you know, here's a great stat. Have you seen the stat, Luke?
I don't know if I have.
So it's something along the lines of from the Premier League all the way down to Tier 10, there is over I think it's like 1,104 teams or something like that. Western are the only team across those 10 divisions who haven't conceded a goal at home this season.
Wow. Well, if
Yeah,
any, if
whoever
any,
got that stat has got more time on his hands than I have. Let's just say that.
yeah, right, yeah. Who's fact checked that?
Yeah, you could just, to be fair, you could just probably just make it up, and people would be like, "Oh, that's good," you know.
Yeah, yeah. If I've got a bit of time later, maybe I'll suss that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if do you know what? If there's any team that is going to score against you guys, it probably is Aldershot. It's just how many they might let in the way we're going. But it's I mean, yeah. So I think the overall view is not overly happy with the draw. This is
Right.
fan base from what I've heard, but on a personal level, I'm overjoyed with it. It's a Somerset draw. I get to go see my family for the weekend. It's happy with it, and I've been to the ground before. It's a lovely little ground. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really interesting game, and I don't think I could call it. I think honestly, if I were a betting man, I think we'd get over the line, but you'd probably have someone else to say about that, and I'm not going to pretend I've been watching Western-super-Mare all year, so maybe.
Yeah, I was going to ask actually, do you know much about Western and some of the key players to look out for, or are you guys not too sure?
Me personally, no. I've been there many moons ago, so I'm a Bristol Rovers fan in a past life. I've been there a couple times for pre-season friendlies and things like that. But in recent years, no. I think one of my PE teachers used to play for them, but I forgot his name. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, in essence, I'll hold my hands up. I'm quite clueless on you guys, but all I can look at is the league table and see that you're no joke this year.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a strong start to the season, but I would say that I don't think any of us are getting ahead of ourselves just yet because we were exactly the same last season, and unfortunately, it kind of ended up falling away a little bit, and we just missed out on the playoffs. But
Mm.
yeah, great start to the season. It's only Hornchurch who are above us, and I mean they've poured and poured money in over the summer, so you kind of expect them to be up there really. But yeah, no. Question for you. So you grew up not too far from me. Frome, you said. So Frome to Bristol, to North Bristol, to be a Bristol Rovers fan, it's fairly far away, isn't it?
What did I used to do? Yeah, from the Bristol Temple Meads and then no Montpellier. It was manageable, especially when I was a bit younger.
Right,
But
yeah.
yeah, so my dad played, I want to say, 4 games for them in the early '80s,
Wow.
and his name's Dave Smith. Good luck googling him. And yeah, I think that was enough for me to sort of tie myself to them. But yeah, yeah, long term fan of them. But and that I've got one eye on eventually doing a bit of work with them in a few years. But I probably shouldn't say that too loud. But yeah, that's sort of an achievable goal for me. I don't know. I mean. Would you call yourself a Western-super-Mare fan?
Do I?
Yeah.
I do now, but I'll be very honest and say that but when I was growing up, probably I don't think I saw a Western game until I was probably about 14 years of
Mm.
age. I grew up. I grew up south of the river, so obviously usually that'll make you red, but I was never too bothered. I wanted Bristol City to do well. I'd go every now and then just because that was the local. But I grew up as an Arsenal fan. Just sorry to say to all the listeners that won't like that one, but no, I was yeah, obviously me and my family, the people around my area, yeah, we were Bristol City. That was the team that we supported. But when I was growing up, I went to Arsenal games with my old man. He took me to loads of games and stuff from there really. But now Western means more to me than any of them put together, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's wicked. And it's I don't know. I've just heard from a few people that it's you think it's what you want, but maybe it's like never meet your heroes. Working for the club you actually support is sometimes sort of not recommended. I don't know if you've been advised that.
I haven't heard that actually. Why is that?
I think it's just you. I can't remember who told me, but there's just you need to achieve a level of neutrality when you're doing official club communications, and sometimes when it is your club and you are so passionate, you can occasionally slip the caps lock on and say something you don't want to say over the official channels. Just
A little bit biased, would you say then?
yeah, exactly. Sort of talking a bit fiery about a controversial decision one way or another. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I find it hard. So sometimes I get asked to do the commentary when the main commentators obviously are busy or can't make it to the game, and
mm,
I found it really hard. I think it wasn't last weekend, a couple of weekends ago when Weston went to Totton and lost 3-1. Tottenham's first goal was I mean I called it a shambles, and that's on live commentary. So I did have to remind myself, rein it in a little bit. You're representing the club, and but obviously I'm so involved in the club. I love it. I want them to win.
yeah,
I'm so
you've got
passionate about it.
to do. But and that's what local commentary's for, really, isn't it? You
It
want to,
is. It is.
that's what gets sort of passed around on social media, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
stuff like that. Yeah,
that's what people want. They don't want. But yeah, no, it's yeah. So eventually, I'd love to, even though the Southwest is something of a barren wasteland for football. I would
mm,
just for my own lifestyle, I'd love to return to the Southwest, wherever that may be. We're one of the
absolutely.
clubs that exist, and I couldn't possibly work for City, so that stings. Uh,
Yeah, do you know what? I know a lot of people like that, but for me personally, I because I was there, I never really called myself a Bristol City fan. I would just go with my mates if they had a spare ticket or something like that. Stuff like that wouldn't bother me. Wouldn't bother me, but I couldn't work for Tottenham. There you go. So that's
well,
that's
so
where
if,
I lie.
if Tottenham Hotspur came to you right now and said we want you to be our head of media, you'd say no, stuff it.
Do you know what? There would have to be a long think. Let's just say that I'd have to have discussions with them to make sure I could do it physically, because it's all
Yeah.
well and good going, oh, the money will be nice and the job will be nice, but yeah, if I'm there deep down, I deep down want to wind the fans up, then maybe being sort of a head of media might not be might not be the best career choice.
Take them down from the inside, I suppose.
Yeah, well, there you go. Kind of a bit like what Levy's been doing then. Sorry, but yeah, we'll get back to the Western Aldershot game, of course. So for the Western fans watching, which I'm sure there will be a few, hopefully, what type of football can we expect from Aldershot to come and play? Like you have touched upon this, but if we could go into sort of some of the players to look out for and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, everything's a bit in terms of actual play style. Everything is massively up in the air, and we might not know what it looks like in 2 weeks' time, just because of Tommy and Hugo's resignation. But it's so they typically play the most attacking football you've ever seen, and it's marvelous to watch when it works. It really is. Whether there will be a tactical change, in between now and 2 weeks' time remains to be seen. So, but if it stays the same, expect balls to the wall attacking and quite a fun game, which is normally the case. Ones to watch. So Josh,
You. So it,
I think they just want to make it annoying for you, so you like eventually wilt. But
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So we managed to get about yeah. Okay. I see where we are. We right to jump straight back in?
yeah, yeah, go for it.
Cool. Oh, hang on. So, Luke, if I had to put you on the spot, what would your score predictions be for the first round of the FA Cup?
Yeah, both teams to score, absolutely. I would say let's go for. I think it'll be 3-2 in extra time to Aldershot.
I like that. I like that. Is it extra time now, or is it?
Yeah, so yeah, the replays
Oh,
only.
of course, yeah. That's rubbish, isn't it? We had that away at Rovers last year. We got the dream draw, Bristol Rovers away,
Oh,
and
I felt
we
for you.
we took them to extra time.
Yeah,
That was rubbish. If we'd have got that replay, I mean, the amount of money that would have come in from that, and for a club like Western, that means a whole lot. So we we
yeah.
weren't we weren't
I,
too happy about that.
I was obviously following that quite closely, and
Sure you were, yeah, yeah,
I think all of the Rovers fans were gutted for you as well.
yeah, yeah.
It was sort of the first instance of how ridiculous it was, and obviously a few weeks later you had Tamworth and Tottenham, and I think that was in excess of about £1 million they missed out on. It's oh well,
It's sickening, isn't it? It's just to help the big teams. It's that's a load of rubbish. But the big teams don't even come in until round three.
it's a bizarre
Yeah,
decision.
it winds us up.
Yeah, but
It does.
there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, but we'll move on from that before I end up getting wound up about it because it is something that we talk about at the football club and stuff like that. But
Mm.
yeah, it is a shame. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great occasion in front of a packed out Optima. I'm sure one to look forward to definitely. Now looking over to the rest of Monday night's draw, there were a few tasty looking ones actually, weren't there, Luke? A few that stood out to me were Luton versus Forest Green, Barnsley versus York, and Eastleigh versus Walsall. So, firstly, obviously for Forest Green, who have had an excellent start to their season under Robbie Savage anyway, they've been awarded with a doubt at Luton. Obviously, Luton, of course, were in the Premier League just 2 seasons ago. I mean, what a tie that is for Forest Green, Luke. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, Jack Wiltshire versus Robbie Savage sounds like a football manager save. You know, when you get about 10 years in, and the managers start looking weird. Yeah, that would be one strange pair of dugouts to look at. But yeah, I I don't know. I think what's going on at Luton is absolutely bizarre. They are all through the 21st century. They've been to the conference, up to the Premier League, and back down, and they it's I don't have a great knowledge of the inner workings of that club, but it's just I don't know how they could get it so right 2 years ago and it's going so wrong now. And a similar thing happened 20 years ago. As for Forest Green, I've I'm not the biggest Savage fan, and I almost wanted him to not do well, but fair play to him. He's got them absolutely flying, and they made light work of it on Monday. Um, you know, even though I think the TNT decision on which game to broadcast was a little bit odd. I think Dorking Aldershot would have made a much better TV game.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
it's TNT, Robbie Savage Fest. But they actually made a good game of it and played some good football. So proved me wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, absolute banana skin for Luton, especially
Mm.
with a couple of weeks for Jack Wiltshire to get himself in, and who knows what he's going to be like. I know he only got his pro license in the summer, same as Javal, the Morecambe manager. They were in the same class. Um, So, and you don't get that easily. So he must have a bit about him, and I think he's been coaching for a while. So that'll be a real interesting one, to be honest.
Definitely.
The other ties you mentioned, not particularly clued up on Warsaw or the likes, but yeah, any conference, sorry, National League versus League Two, League One tie is endlessly interesting. Mainly for the free up, free down debate.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that in a minute, actually.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I like to see fifth tier versus fourth tier because it so often
It's
is
telling, isn't it? It's telling.
there's little to no difference, and I think we'll see that again this year in
Mm.
abundance.
Definitely. And I thought York drawing Barnsley actually was quite interesting, just purely the fact that, must have been a dream draw for the York fans, right? I mean, the chance to travel to a massive club in League One with actually quite a big stadium, who also happen to be fairly local rivals. I mean, how exciting must that be for the York fans?
Yeah, that's the dream draw. I mean, it probably mirrors when you guys got Bristol Rovers
Absolutely, absolutely.
last year. It's sort of the one that you've got your eye on. I know all the comments for our cup draw were Reading away, Reading away. It's all anyone ever wanted, and yeah, York pulled out the hat, or rather, Mikel Antonio did. Um, but yeah, that is all you can hope for, really. A local tie in a League One stadium.
Definitely. And Eastleigh Walsall stood out to me not only because, it's a National League club hosting an EFL side, but because of actually who Eastleigh's manager is. Of course, Scott Bartlett, formerly of Western-super-Mare. I'm sure him and his staff at Eastleigh absolutely buzzing for that one. Yeah, myself and everybody involved with Western, I'm sure wish him and his side all the very best. Yeah, obviously with the new manager coming in, Scott Rogers, who was Bartlett's number two for a good couple of years before that. Yeah, that stood out to us. Stood in the club watching the draw on Monday night. Just wish him all the best. Wish him all the best. Great guy and very good manager too. Very good manager too. But yeah. Now let's move on to the three up campaign, like you just mentioned there, shall we? Firstly, let's talk about what this is and why it is so important. The three up is a campaign by the National League that it's basically trying to increase the number of promotion places from League Two's relegation promotion boundary. They want three teams to be promoted every single season from the National League into the EFL League Two, of course. Correspondingly, obviously, three teams would be relegated from League Two into National League, so it become a three up, three down. Whereas at the moment, it's only two that go up, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it's an outdated system, and the National League clubs are fairly unanimous in their opinion of what should happen, which I'm not surprised about, to be honest. Yeah, you've you've got the National League, slowly but surely over the course of the 21st century, the National League, yeah, it used to be a largely semi-professional league, but it's not anymore. There are
No, no.
over 20 professional teams in the National League. It is, in essence, has become slowly but surely league free.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reduced amount of teams going up and going down was, that was with a view of semi-professional teams not having the infrastructure and getting too much too soon and crumbling. And then the sort of adverse side of that is the teams dropping out of the football league, would have to downsize and sack people and stuff like that, which, yes, does happen. But now we're looking at a landscape where the National League is a professional league, and in 10 years it probably will be across the board, certainly in the fifth tier. And I think, you look at York last season, is a great case study for,
Mm,
96 points. They're taking over 6,000 on average through the gate. in attendance, and you're telling me that they're not, that they're not worthy of a promotion place. Yes, they lost in the playoffs, but that's a one-off game, and I think it's so much harsher to not allow York in this instance to go up deservedly than it is to relegate whoever finishes in 22nd place. I think it was Newport last year. I think the change is inevitable, and I'm really happy with the way the campaign's being championed across the board, because it's got to change.
Yeah, definitely, and of course there are many reasons, good reasons, as to why this has been proposed, and I think but it is also only fair for us to kind of look at and talk about some of the potential challenges that would come up with that as an idea and as a proposal. The only two really main ones that I've figured out and come up with is obviously, the League Two clubs are not going to be too pleased with that. If you're one of the teams sort of knocking around the bottom and you're only just surviving every year, for you to agree to that is a massive risk of you going down, and then obviously the financial issues that may come with you being relegated out of the football league. And I remember, not to take a pot shot here, but I do remember when Bristol Rovers went down to the conference when I was growing up, and that was pretty damning for them at the time. So yeah, it's stuff like that, and there's also you did touch upon it, but just ensuring that the clubs that are promoted are sort of financially able to survive, and their infrastructure is ready to go to be in League Two, because I mean, we looked at Luton going to the Premier League, and everybody said, how can their stadium be up to standards? They managed, didn't they? So I'm sure teams would manage. But there are a few things that make you think there might be some challenges and points
Yeah,
against this.
I mean, the one main thing for a couple teams is that the National League is the highest league that accept a plastic pitch in this country at the moment. So the likes of Tamworth and I think Sutton, and then Dorking, if they go on a crazy run, they would need to make massive changes if they wanted to play league football. Obviously, Gateshead in the last couple of years they missed out on a playoff place because they hadn't secured tenancy or something. So there are certain. I say it's a professional league, but there are certain clubs that really they'd really need to get their arse in gear if they were to get promoted. So there are still existing problems, but for the large part, it's like I said, it's league free.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I agree with you. And obviously, as someone working in the obviously not the National League proper, but the National League South, which is still obviously connected. Yeah, that is something that I would definitely like to see as well. Now, staying in the National League, actually, let's move on to some of the big news up north involving Carlisle. Last week, they announced the loan signing of Chris Conn-Clark from Peterborough. It came out a few weeks ago, didn't it, that Carlisle and Forest Green were sort of battling for the signature of Conn-Clark, and it seems he's opted to stay up in the north. Luke, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's a really smart move. It it didn't really work out for him at the first season in Peterborough. I don't think, he absolutely lit it up for Altrincham, and then I just don't think that you'd ever expect Peterborough to be in like a relegation battle in League One like he did, and it just wasn't the environment for a young player to come in. I think just from following Rovers, I think they ended up with the youngest average age in the whole league, and he was a young player coming into the team who needed to be nurtured and needed to be the sort of exciting young one, but he ended up being among the more elder statesmen in the club, and it just wasn't wasn't the right environment for him to succeed. So I think dropping back down to the National League is going to be great for him. I'm kind of surprised by the geography of it. I think I would have thought that Peterborough would have wanted someone a bit more local, maybe like a Southend or one of the London clubs to just keep more tabs on him. He's a long way away in Carlisle, but you know, as a young forward, who wouldn't want to be coached by Mark Hughes? To be completely honest, and that might have actually influenced his decision.
Definitely. And obviously, Con Clark, who did enjoy a few different spells with Altrincham over the last few years. He made 76 total appearances for the club and he netted 32 times. Luke, do you think this could be a sort of catalyst signing for Carlisle, who are chasing promotion?
If he can reignite his partnership with Regan Linney, I think everyone's in trouble. To be honest, they've got both of them now, and that return trip to Altrincham might be interesting. But yeah, I think they found, Carlisle have probably had a bit of a shock coming back down to the National League. But I think this is exactly the kind of recruitment. If he does start firing again, I know his confidence is a bit shot, but yeah, I think that's about as high profile a signing as you're going to see in this league, and a statement signing at that. So
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
I'm quite glad we've already played them this side of Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll move on now to a bit of actually a managerial merry-go-round in the National League, shall we? I saw a stat that said, since the start of this season, out of the 24 teams in the league, a total of 7 managers have left their jobs already, right? Whether that's obviously resigning or being sacked. That to me is crazy, actually. We're not even at the midway point. It's still October and seven have left their jobs. Any ideas as to why there have been more sackings before this season?
Well, I think it's all September, October is always going to be the big time for this kind of thing, because you have a bad start and you think, right, we'll nip this in the bud now, especially in the National League when it's back to the free up free down thing. Really, we've got these ridiculous playoff quarterfinals, so you can have a rough start to the season and still sneak your way up there. And if you're the best team in the league by April and you find yourself in 7th or 6th place, you've got a really good chance of going up. So if you have a really dogged start, like the likes of Solihull did, or your Yeovils, you can roll the dice, get someone in, and try and push your way up and finish in good form by April. But yeah, it's been particularly large amount of changes this year. I had a brief look. I think this time last year there were 4.
Right.
Either sackings or resignations, so not crazily dissimilar, but almost double. Yeah, it's no one is safe.
No one
It's
is safe.
extremely competitive league this year, and I think
Definitely.
that's telling on the merry-go-round, as you said.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so some of the names here is interesting to look at. So obviously Steve Morrison let go by Sutton earlier on in the season. Matthew Taylor sacked by Solihull. Adam Hinshelwood sacked by York, who then obviously went back to Worthing, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yes, I
Yes,
believe so. I was worried for a second. I got it wrong there. But
probably to
and then
be nearer his son, to be honest.
sorry, what was that?
Well, he's got big connections in Brighton, hasn't he? And he's
Yes, he does. Yeah, yeah. He's been there before. He's been there before. So yeah, well, we'll see how that goes for them. Obviously, Tommy Bridlington, who resigned from Aldershot this week. Kelvin Davies, who was sacked by Eastleigh, who then got replaced by Scott Bartlett, who we mentioned earlier. And then you've got the utter mess that's unfolded over at Yeovil with Mark Cooper, who was sacked in August, then followed in by Danny Webb, who resigned after just one game. Yeah, just mess. But anyway, Luke, which one of these has surprised you the most, and why would you say?
um, Hinshelwood was a big shock. I mean, yeah, he was doing great things last year, but that is that is what happens when it doesn't quite work out, when you do so well and fall short. It can all go bad. Um, and I don't know. I really, maybe just because I like his goal catalogue, but I really want to see Matty Taylor um, go on to be a good manager. And yeah, I think he's probably only got one or two more tries at it before people completely don't don't rate him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think, and obviously the over one was just a freak situation that one week. But yeah, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes there, but that was
Yeah. Yeah, I
pretty.
mean that Yeovil situation, Luke. I mean that is it's just an absolute mess, and I don't think we actually have any idea of just how deep the problems lie there.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, I don't want that to come across as me taking pot shots at Yeovil. Of course, I wish them all the best, and particularly the fans. But I don't think that there is. I don't think that everything that's come out is all that there is to it, because
mm.
a manager doesn't just up and leave after one game if he hasn't seen or heard something that he doesn't like. So yeah, I mean that's one to keep an eye on over there. Obviously, I think it's Danny. Who is it? Who is it that's come in? Danny Webber.
Oh yeah, it's Oh God, you asked me something now.
I think it's Danny Webber who's come in. Obviously, he's actually number two by Jerry Gill, who we all know very well in the southwest area. Obviously, long term manager of Bath before being sacked last season.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on this manager situation, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many more either lose their jobs or leave their jobs. Right, yeah, let's look ahead now to Aldershot's upcoming games then, shall we? Up next for the shots, you've got Tamworth at home, Scunthorpe away, and then the big one in the cup away at Western. How are you and everybody else at Aldershot feeling heading into that one?
Yeah, it's just an absolute well, not absolute. It's a time of uncertainty. So obviously Douse is going to be taking over the dugout on Saturday. And yeah, we will just see. It's a really difficult question to answer. I'm if anyone's listening to this from an Aldershot point of view, I'm completely in the dark about the goings on this week. But yeah, we can only hope that from a player's point of view, the good morale from Saturday's continued, and yeah, the home game against Tamworth is incredibly winnable.
Mm.
Even though they're on a good run of form, I would hope for a good result, and yeah, but it's anyone's guess. It's a time of uncertainty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Luke, thank you very, very much for coming on, agreeing to come on. You were great. I really enjoyed it. I think this is a really, really good episode, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in Weston in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you, mate.
So, cheers.